resolutions are offered as down to play, and is that available for all the platforms?
Yeah. So.
Hello. Yeah. The resolutions. It's more the bit rate that we have. So there's 200k bit rate at the bottom. 500 I think is the medium, and 1 megabit per second is the high one. So if you're limited on time and you're on a Wi-Fi connection, you know, depending on what the speed of the Wi-Fi connection is, but at the low bit rate, it may only take 30 seconds to get something, so if it's reasonable, and then it goes up from there. So medium might take 3 or 4 minutes, and high, depending on what the Wi-Fi is like, can take 10 minutes or something like that for a half-an-hour program.
What's the reason behind deleting the movie after within 24 hours or 48 hours of watching it, instead of just leaving it to run for about 7 days?
That's actually a studio requirement for us to. It's sort of a traditional thing with transactional video on demand. If you've ever rented something on iTunes or something like that, you'll see that similar type of thing. So it's a continuation of that. So if you want to, if that expires, as Azran said before, after 7 days, and you can just re-download it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyone else? Questions?
How soon can we get 100% of content to be available for download?
Well, I think there may just be 1 or 2 studios who want to wait and see that there aren't any issues, that people aren't just going to rip this and suddenly all their content is going to be pirated all over. I can't tell you exactly when, it's just a matter of convincing them, but virtually all the studio partners are already on board, so it's just 1 or 2 smaller ones.
Please elaborate more on the whole partnership that you suggested.
Sure. Basically, in Malaysia, we've already announced our partnership with Digi, and we're looking forward to announcing quite a few more in Malaysia very, very soon. And I think all the telcos are getting very excited about having a product like this, the richness of our long-form video content, to bundle it together with the data plans that they have, because it's a great way to get people to consume more data, both on the fixed broadband side as well as on the mobile side. In the Philippines, we've already announced our partnerships with PLDT and Smart on the fixed and mobile side as well. And we'll be announcing our partners in Thailand soon too.
How often does new content get included?
Every day.
How about the latest movies and TV shows? How long does the subscriber have to wait to get that?
Okay, so the way that Iflix works is your single subscription gets access to everything. So there isn't, we started this whole thing with saying, what are all the pain points and problems of using paid television today? One of them is the fact that consumers are bombarded with so many choices in terms of packages, tiers. You want this, but they make you buy all of this. So we decided one small, low, simple price gets you everything. Right? Even when you're on a 30-day free trial, when you start, you access everything. We don't hold anything back from you. And no hidden charges, no suddenly they advertise one rate and later the 6% comes back to bite you behind. Here, when we say a price, it's all-inclusive GST. So all the things we hated about other people, we kept it very simple at Iflix. Go ahead. Oh.
Just a question. Who does your content curation for the website? As in because like when you first load and you see all those categories, I would say that some of the categories are a little inaccurate, especially specifically the posh category, because the shows aren't posh at all. It seems like the only criteria for posh seems to be this was shown on BBC.
I think I understand the question. So the curation is done by our content team, and it tries to be cheeky and in some cases controversial, Clearly this one is a bit controversial, which is good. It's created conversation. We're changing those all the time. Those categories are envisaged and discussed and thrown out there and pretty much created the same day usually. So when people have a creative idea, we put it up there, and they're not intended to be exact and specific, and that's why they're named the way they are. They're quite cheeky in the way they're named. So we're actually, it's funny because we've actually got a big push on the curation side to make that even easier, to make it larger, because we actually have a huge amount of content there, and at the moment it's probably a bit harder to see how much content there is for anyone coming along than we would like it to be. So we're really enriching that quite a lot at the moment as we speak.
I just also wanted to add something else. You might notice one of the first carousels is recommended for you. So one of the things that has come in is using big data analytics to watch the kind of shows that you're watching. And the more you watch, the more the computer gets smart about what specific shows you like, and we start showcasing that in the recommendations for you. So it may look a bit odd in the first week or two that you're using it, but as you start consuming more, it gets finer and finer in terms of understanding your preferences and being able to make those personalized recommendations. So you start moving away from having someone curate it for you to literally having the machine learn about you as an individual, which is where we think that the future is all about. You had a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I have two questions actually. The
Sure.
first question is, could you share with us an update on your expansion plans into the rest of Southeast Asia
Right.
for this year and the coming year?
Mhm.
And my second question is, with regards to telco partnerships we're talking about, are you going to announce anything this year or will it be next year?
So I'll take the second one. This year.
This year.
Like Peggy's like juggling how many press conferences she's got to organize in the next week or two. So yeah, I'm busy on that. And likewise on the international expansion. Like I think this week alone, some of us are going to be in 3 different countries, talking to prospective partners in those countries. So furiously opening up, but in terms of specific deadlines, I can't tell you when someone's going to be able to put pen to paper and sign, especially with the imminent year-end holidays coming up. But we're doing our best to rush and open up those markets.
If I'm not mistaken, Indonesia was one of the markets this year, right? You've been targeting.
It's one of.
Still on track for that?
We're always on track because we can tell you exactly when we're open it up.
Is this feature currently available on Android, iOS, and web?
It's on iOS and Android. We don't do it on the web because we can't control that environment to a sufficient extent that we could protect it, I guess, from a movie, the Motion Picture Association of America point of view, which is probably the most stringent of all our requirements, which is the main Hollywood studios. So as a result, we've got it for iOS and Android, which includes mobiles and tablets. And we're looking at other ways which you can deliver that to the desktop, but we'll announce those probably early next year.
Just want to clarify with you. You said on the slide that you said 65% of users are more likely to pay. Are you referring to the users, the free trial users?
Yeah, they were, well, when we surveyed, we had people who are already paid subscribers, we had people who are on free trial, and people who've never heard of Iflix before or have not tried Iflix before. So it's a cross-section of that sample base.
Are you limited to how much you can download at any one time, besides your Wi-Fi?
Yes, we are, and again, that's studio driven. We could actually make it as much as your phone could handle, but we have up to 10 programs or 10 episodes, which would include, so a movie would be an episode, or an episode of a TV series would be an episode. So up to 10 on the phone at any one time, which all have the same 7-day expiry, but when you start, 2 days until it then expires.
Just to ask more about the 7 days thing. So after 7 days it expires and it can't be, you have to re-download the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no authentication of any sort. So avoid re-downloading again and consuming more data.
So yeah, your data, you have to consider your data. If you have it, like if you're doing it over 3G, 4G, you essentially do that twice after the 7 days. It's the second time you're using that data. But what was the question again? Sorry. Oh yeah, re-authentication. Well, anytime you're using the Iflix application, you're authenticated. So if you've downloaded it once before, we don't restrict you downloading the same thing in the future. You can just download as many times as you want to. If you wanted to download, then delete, then download again, then delete, you could do that as well. There's no restrictions. It's trying to keep the same openness that you can, when you've got access, you've got access to everything. There's no restrictions on what you have access to. We don't close anything off. Same thing on the download and play.
How much local content are there, and if there are there any plans in the future, and how are you going to be working with local?
Sure. I think we're probably almost at 2,000 hours of content. We've got more as a percentage in the Philippines. And one of the big focuses for us that we'll start to see next year is some of the work that we're doing today, where we've been in discussions with a number of local producers, narrowing down a short list of scripts and ideas, now getting to the stage of doing the detailed planning, budget, timing, casting and everything, is our original productions, which should debut next year. So we are planning on investing in local content, both pure Malaysian content as well as pan-regional content that we're working together with some international producers in collaboration with the markets that we're in to produce content that will be available across the markets.
Is it as a co-producer or acquisition?
Well, it depends. It's a very subtle distinction. Really, in the end, we're looking. So some of the smaller ones, we may own exclusive rights for it, but for some of the bigger regional ones, we might ask for exclusive rights in our territories. But some of the Hollywood partners may want rest of the world rights, right? So it all depends on funding structures and who wants more of those territories.
One last question.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of genres are you looking at?
Okay, multiple, but really some of the first ones to kick in will be long-form serial dramas because of that stickiness of binge watching, right? Episode after episode, season after season. You won't see us rushing that much into one-off type shows or reality shows that might be time-bound, time-sensitive, right? Because once you know who the winner of the show is, there's no library value, not so much library value left, right? So that's the first set of focus. Uh-huh.
What sort of categories that you would like to keep the mass or open, and also developing much more content? What language that you would
Okay.
English content or Malay content?
Right. A little bit of both. There will be some of the projects that we're working on will be Malay language drama. So that I would say urban mass, because it's also scripts and ideas that we want to, we're telling the producers, really push the envelope in terms of the script writing, the concept. We don't want to just do more of the same TV. Frankly, we're telling them, give us your script ideas that were rejected or were too controversial for TV in Malaysia, right? But let's use Iflix as a platform to really push the envelope there. Some of the regional ones would be English, because that will be working in multiple markets. So we're looking at both segments.
Would I think would be a good platform for indie sorts of content?
Possible, likely, and some of the independent producers are among the people that we are already working with. I don't think we're going to rush to do feature films in the first year, so it may not be so much the sort of indie movies, because they're very one-off, they're very transactional. We're looking for something where we can debut 10 to 12 episodes immediately for you to go crazy over a weekend going through all of them.
Any plans of targeting into the RT short films industry?
Sorry?
Any targets of going to RT short film genre?
Possible, but realistic. I think we also don't want to be so niche that it only captures a tiny fraction. We'd love to get concepts that are niche and interesting, but the execution we think should be applicable across a broader segment of our viewers.
Any plans to do live telecast?
No. Again, live telecast.
Yeah, there are a couple of impediments to that. One is also the transient nature of live, but from a technical infrastructure point of view, it's not that it's particularly difficult, but it's an extra addition on top of what we do for library streaming. So we'll probably focus heavily on that library streaming, but you never know, because we're there. We turn on a dime for what opportunities may be there. So if tomorrow comes up that there's something on the live front that really makes sense from a business point of view and a consumer value point of view, then we'll probably be there, and we'll probably do it and execute it pretty fast.
Yeah, I'm curious, because you're also targeting the urban mass. Does the programs come with subtitle Malay, English,
Yes.
and both? Oh,
Chinese, Thai, and we literally have a team at Mid Valley that's just takes subtitles. So you'll see it progressively more shows. We focus on the most popular ones. So I think we're probably close to about 50% of our shows now having subtitle capability, and we keep adding it up every day. And more subtitles are being published.
and you mentioned here that you have over 850 subscribers in less than 6 months. What are your target? Maybe for the next 6 months or a year, how many subscribers are you targeting?
Ash and I are not going to be happy until we get to sort of like 50, 100 million in 50 to 100 countries. So it's a long journey for us, but this is a business where you have to think globally at that scale. And I think one of the differences and the big opportunity for a model like ours is media has always been very local. Even when you look at the big media players, they tend to be very local players in their own markets. And what the internet has allowed us to do is find a way where we can scale very quickly across dozens of markets, which means we can drive our prices down so low that margins may only be a few cents, but because you try to look at it on a 50 million customer base, the economics start to work on that basis. So what you're seeing now is tiny, right? So subscriber targets in the next month or two are immaterial. If it's going to be radically different by the end of next year, it's going to be, like order of magnitude different the year after that.
Has there been any issues with censorship locally?
No.
International platforms like small movie, which is free.
Okay.
How does compete with that or stand out against that?
Sure. Well, first of all, the great thing for consumers is you have multiple options. There are other ways you can get free content. Some of it are ad supported. And I think Iflix first, it's about being very, very focused on delivering value for people that they think far exceeds the amount that you have to pay for it, right? So that means the content selection, the convenience of not having any ads, the reliability of it, how fresh and updated it is. But ultimately, the other point that becomes even more interesting is the telecommunications partners are starting to say, hang on, this is very, very valuable for my subscribers. There's also a model where they are basically buying Iflix subscriptions to make it part of your existing telco bundle. So the customer may not have to pay anything additional to use Iflix, but because they're subscribing to that data plan, Iflix is part of it. Because for the telco, they might see this is a way of attracting people to get to that package, and so it's a way of increasing revenue for them. It's a way of people staying on that package, because one of the challenges for telecommunications companies is churn. People leave, they switch carriers, right? But if you've got a service where the content that they love is available and part of that package, then they're hooked onto it month after month, year after year. There's real value in having an Iflix service to keep customers onto a telco plan. And so there's also a model that we will be introducing soon. And when we say stuff, for us it means days and weeks, not years, where that will be a feature. So people actually get it effectively for no additional cost, but it's because it's borne by the telco, because they think the value to them is much higher than the price of an Iflix subscription. Just think of a typical telco in terms of how much revenue does a customer pay for them, both on the mobile side or the fixed broadband side, and you'll see that the Iflix cost is a tiny part of that, right? So it will be a huge benefit for telecommunications companies to, move people and retain them.
Just want to clarify, the model you're talking about right now
Mhm.
is something that you're planning, it's not being done yet, right? With telcos?
Yeah, we've not officially announced it yet. Yeah. But I'll give you one simple example today, right? Where if you're a Digi subscriber and you sign up for Iflix, you get 1 gigabyte of data. Now, if you try to buy 1 gigabyte of data on a standalone basis, it probably costs more than an Iflix monthly subscription, right? So you can start to see people are thinking, hey, this can get people to consume even more data, because it's a cheaper way to get access to a gigabyte of data than it is to buy it on a standalone basis. Got a question? Yeah, go for it.
My question is download and watch online.
Yeah.
How many percent increment of the subscriber are you doing in 6 months and 1 year?
Yeah, so if you think about a 6-month period, this is not in percent. This is in like multiple X times, right? So I think if you ask me in 6 months from now, I'd be horribly depressed if we didn't more than double our subscriber base.
So I guess one of the advantages of being CTO of a company like this is you get to see these features earlier than the consumer does. And I have to say, just having the download and play facility has big time changed the way which I actually use the Iflix product. So we hope to see similar type of experience with other consumers too, and that it just makes it more available. Those times when you wouldn't have wanted to stream it because you're in a car traveling through KL, where it's pretty good most of the time, but sometimes it's not, and it's a bit frustrating. That really does change how attractive it is in order to consume this entertainment. So it's, we hope to see that attracting people on large scales as well. So I really do think it's going to make a difference to the attractiveness of the product.
We've seen, for example, the amount of content that gets consumed per user go up by over 20%. We've now surpassed over 100 minutes a day per user of Iflix. That equates to more than 10 hours a week of consuming content on Iflix. And I think, and that's growing. It's growing by quite a lot, from about 80 minutes per day to over 100 minutes already.
Share with us the latest subscriber numbers.
Sorry?
The latest subscriber numbers. Share.
You're gonna have to wait for year end.
Yeah.
Can't give you a daily
The
rundown.
last one that was published was 200,000, right? You know,
That must be a while ago.
Yeah.
It's far from more than that. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still around. If you've got other questions, feel free to grab me or Ash. Thanks. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, guys.